Welcome to the Cuse Militia Podcast with those two unapologetically biased, orange-blooded homers, Sean and Joe.
What's up, Cuse Nation? Thanks for tuning in to the Cuse Militia Podcast with Sean and Joe. If you like it, please share it. There it is. There it is. The universal handle for the socials is at Cuse Militia. Go there, join the militia. We are the only Syracuse sports podcast centered around giving you, the fans, a voice. Joe's back with the cans. All is well. 5 minutes ago, 10 minutes ago, Joe didn't have beer, so I'm just going to assume that's why we're starting late. Is that safe to say, Joe?
I was eating dinner.
I was eating dinner. Okay, you can use that excuse.
Somehow I got some beer delivered.
All right, look.
You can thank Heather for that one.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Heather. I appreciate that. He's finally got a smile on his face. Appreciate it. The 4-3, 0-1 in the ACC. Syracuse Orange will host the 5-2 Iowa Hawkeyes in the Dome on Tuesday at 7 o'clock on ESPN2. So, another nationally televised game. That's nice.
Yep.
And we're going to go over that. We're going to bring James Szuba on. But also, look, I just thought of this before we came on here. I want to push the iTunes reviews. Look, go to iTunes, give us a 5-star rating. If you know, embellish a little bit in your review if you'd like. You know, we appreciate the 5 stars. You know, but if you don't think it's a 5-star show, I know it's mediocre, but if you don't think it deserves 5 stars, then maybe just keep your thoughts to yourself. But if you think it's good, which it's okay. I know, I get it. But if you could embellish and give us the 5-star rating and written review, then we will not only send out a little bit of swag, okay, if you email me back after I read your review, but we'll get a handful of them, maybe, I don't know, get a few of them, and we'll randomly select one on the air. I got a fitted Syracuse hat for my birthday that's a large. My birthday was a couple weeks ago. I got this hat. It's a fitted hat. It's a large. It's too big for my noggin. So, look, I have nothing else to do with it. I'm not going to tell my uncle, hey, where'd you get this thing? Can you take it back? Right? So, I'm going to give it away, and we'll pick someone at random, new with tags. I mean, I didn't pluck the tags off. It's still got stickers on it. So, if you want to go to iTunes and do that, we appreciate it. So, there's that. And the New York City trip for the Orange basketball team and the wrap-up on that, plus the football win over Wake Forest yesterday for the Orange football team on Senior Day. All of that's up and ready to be downloaded. We had to split this up because it was just going to be impossible to do it in one episode, in one breath too, which means, we don't take breaks. We don't edit. This show's not edited. Usually it's pretty much run straight through. We don't get any breaks except for Joe yesterday. I don't know, what'd you do yesterday in the show when you left me hanging after a read? Did you go to the bathroom or something?
That was Heather was bringing me up a beer.
What'd you have to do? Go get it?
I met her at the door.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Man, got it made. Getting beer deliveries 2 days in a row for this guy. 2 days in a row. So, all right, look, we want to get into all of this stuff. But, of course, first, we have got to tell you the show is brought to us by, first, it's Blue Chew, folks. If you want to increase your performance and get that extra confidence to bed, well, listen up. BlueChew.com. That's blue like the color. Blue Chew brings you the first chewable with the same FDA-approved active ingredient as Viagra and Cialis, so you know it works. You can take them anytime, day or night, on a full or empty stomach, and since they're chewable, they work up to twice as fast as the pill, so you can be ready whenever an opportunity arises. If you could benefit from extra function and more confidence when it counts, Blue Chew is the fast and easy way to enhance your performance. Blue Chew is prescribed online and ships straight to your door in a discreet package, so there's no in-person doctor visit, no waiting in the pharmacy, and best of all, no awkwardness. So, what are you waiting for? Go to BlueChew.com. They're made in the USA, and since they prepare and ship direct, they're cheaper than the pharmacy. Right now, we've got a special offer for our listeners. If you visit BlueChew.com right now, you get the first shipment free when you use the special promo code ARMCHAIR. Just pay the $5 shipping. Again, that's BLUEChew.com. Use the promo code armchair. Try it for free. Blue Chew is a better, cheaper, faster choice. And we thank them for sponsoring this show and Armchair Media. Again, promise no guaranteed results. And it does not say anywhere on the packaging that it cures disease. Now, I switch gears. Knocking these both out. My bookie is back on the dollar for dollar match, up to $1,000, and it doesn't matter whether you're an experienced player or a first-time customer. My bookie welcomes all of you to come play. And if you find yourself, maybe you like betting on sports, you're not sure what to expect, well, don't sweat it. My bookie's patient customer service, they can walk you through the process. They can answer any of your questions. And if you join now, you still have a shot to take advantage of that incredible sign-up offer. Just log on to mybookie.ag today and make your first deposit with promo code CHAIR. That's promo code CHAIR for MyBookie. That's promo code ARMCHAIR for Blue Chew. And MyBookie will match your deposit dollar for dollar to jumpstart the bankroll. And that, there's not too many sportsbook companies that are doing that. So you miss the free bet between the Lions and the Bears over the little break we got. At least take advantage of this. So that, again, let me repeat it. That's a guaranteed deposit match and no risk. So if you're into fantasy football, if you're into regular football, if you're into anything, it doesn't even have to be sports. Whatever you want. MyBookie's got it. They have all the props. All of the bets you can imagine on there. So make sure you drop by there, mybookie.ag. Use the promo code CHAIR. Get that match dollar for dollar. And you could win. You got to play first to win. You play, you win. You get paid. MyBookie. All right. So, all right, Joe.
Yeah.
Let's bring James on. All right, joining us now is Syracuse Orange basketball beat writer for NunesMagician.com, and proudly from the 315, James Szuba comes on the program once again. James, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Proudly from the 315.
Absolutely. Aren't we all, though? All of us that are from the 315. I mean, I feel like we should be. So.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think for the most part, you get some people that are probably like a little bit ashamed of Syracuse. They're like, oh man, it's a dump at Syracuse, and there's a lot of that, like people that still live there, but still choose to live there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, they're really proud. Proud history, and I think Syracuse basketball has a lot to do with that too. But for the most part, I think people are pretty proud to be from Syracuse or around Central New York.
Well, that's all we got there, James. Growing up as Syracuse basketball. It wasn't even football, really. It was Syracuse basketball growing up. That was it. That was what we hung our hats on.
Isn't that a little bit of football?
A little bit, dude. In the late 90s, bro. I mean, we're talking. Maybe some Marvin Graves action, but that's. It wasn't as big, let's be honest. But so, James, you were at the games. You live in New York City, right? What part of New York City do you live in, by the way?
Yeah. I'm in Manhattan, actually. So I don't know if you guys or anybody listening knows the city all that well, but I live Upper East Side, and I work in Midtown.
Ooh, that's fancy, right?
Getting out. Not really. I mean, maybe, I guess, but, not really. And then Brooklyn's a little bit of a hike. So, if you catch like the 405 Express out that way, it's probably like a 30-minute ride from Midtown. So, one borough away in Brooklyn, but still a fun trip nonetheless. Would be more fun with a couple wins, but
I know.
Still fun.
So I had said this, James. I had said that in the show leading up to these games, when we did our preview for them, that this was going to be a good gauge to see kind of where Syracuse was at, no matter what two teams they had to play. And I thought they might go 1-1. I thought they might be in the consolation game, but that they would probably maybe win that game depending on who they played. But I thought they would go 1-1 either way, okay? And I still stand by that statement, and I mentioned it yesterday on the show, that was a good gauge. If so, it doesn't really bode well. It's not boding well.
No, I agree. I think it is still a good gauge, and it's kind of a good litmus test to see where the team was at. And Sean, I'm with you on that. I thought Syracuse would go 1-1 coming into it. I thought and I'm still undefeated on my Nunes predictions on the year. I actually picked them to lose against Oklahoma State. I thought they would get Ole Miss in that second game, and I thought they would beat Ole Miss, and I still think they would have beat them if they would have played. But you get a Penn State team that was absolutely beastly on the boards, and we can get into that. But yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's a good test for Syracuse just to see kind of where you are in the year, and kind of expose some weaknesses a little bit and see where you stack up against other Power 5 competition that, granted you played Virginia to open the year, but they're sort of aberrational in that they're the best defensive team Syracuse is probably going to see all year. These teams Syracuse is probably better matched up against, just given where they figure to finish in their conferences. But, as we saw, Syracuse lost by double digits in both games. So obviously for them, there's a lot of work to do. Chance to still, see what those weaknesses are and kind of go back to the drawing board and work on those as the season goes on.
Yeah.
Yes.
Go ahead, Joe.
No, I was going to say, just like I said yesterday, we played the two best teams that were in that tournament.
Right.
I was fully expecting Penn State to beat Mississippi, and that Penn State or that Mississippi comeback was insane. So, the fact that they came back from that many points. So, and then you saw what Mississippi did in the next 2 days later against Oklahoma State. So we played
points.
the two best teams in that tournament. Yeah.
So,
yeah, it was.
Yeah, no doubt.
It was a little concerning. I mean, you look at the size of what's his name there, Michael Walter.
Watkins.
Michael Watkins. I mean, the dude's just. you were probably close to the floor, right? How big is that guy?
Dude, he is a big dude, man. He's like, I think I saw your tweet. He's like 30 years old. I'm like, he's 37. Yeah. And he might have a family, man. He's like a full-grown man out there. But yeah, he was a big dude. I mean, he kind of had his way inside, and there was nothing really Syracuse could do. I mean, he was like a bull in the china shop, down there, just pushing Syracuse guys around like they were rag dolls. So, he was a really big dude. He was a problem.
Absolutely. And then, you look at, his 15 rebounds, you take those away, but there was still, 57 altogether. So what, 42, something like that left for the rest of the team to pick up?
They doubled our rebounds, didn't they?
Yeah. I mean,
it was 57 to 28, I think it was. So.
Yeah. I mean, the rebounding was horrible. We'll get into that, the buy, sell, or hold, but we're going to forget about New York City. The second trip at Barclays Center for the second year in a row, and it was just miserable, as was last year. And on top of last year, you had the game with at Yankee Stadium with Notre Dame throwing the pinstripes in our face, by the way, which we'll never forget. But we also got crushed, so it was brutal. But the girls won. Last year, but whatever. So look, here's the deal: the Hawkeyes. All right. Are you ready for this, James? The Hawkeyes sit at 5-2, coming off of a 83-73 loss to San Diego State. They do have an early win over 12th-ranked Texas Tech. Junior center Luka Garza, and he's going to be a huge problem. 6'11" and 260
Literally.
For crying out loud. So, and he also leads them in scoring and rebounds. And he's averaging a double-double, 19.6 points a game and just over 10 rebounds a game. And rounding off the top three in scoring is 6'3" freshman guard C.J. Frederick. He averages just over 11. And we've got 6'6" sophomore guard Joe Wieskamp, and he averages just under 11 points a game. So, the game's in the Dome. The game's in the Dome. That's good news. Right, James? A home game.
That is, you do have the home court, so there's some advantage there. And yeah, Luka Garza, man, he's going to be a problem. I think if Syracuse really wants to have any hope in this game, I think they have to hope to get him in foul trouble in some way, because that's what San Diego State did. They got him in foul trouble. He picked up 4. And he's, not only is he a big dude, he's getting almost, 20, and he's averaging a double-double, almost 20 a game. He shoots it well from 3, too. I mean, the guy's 8 for 17 on the year from 3.
He's not bad, right? It was almost 50%, wasn't it?
That's the problem.
What was it? What'd you say it was?
47%.
47, okay.
Yeah. So I think, one, they kind of got to go at him a little bit and hope to get him out. But, if you're Syracuse, the good news is they're not that good defensively. They're very mediocre. I think, the last I looked it up, they're like 126th in KenPom. So, and they allow, almost a point per possession. So that's not really that great. And then they mix it up a little bit. They play mostly man, but they play a little bit of zone as well. And they weren't good in the zone against San Diego State. So if you're Syracuse, I think that's where you kind of have to hang your hat on, is hoping you can come out and play a really good offensive game against them and hope you get out of there with a win.
Well, I mean, with any hope, we would be able to think that at home they could score a little easier. I don't think that we're going to look at some kind of quick start. It just doesn't feel right. And we're coming off of those games where you heard coaches post-game press conference where he talks about confidence. Yeah. And I mean, James, who's going to get this guy in foul trouble? Who's the guy to try to get this guy in foul trouble? Do Gary A? I mean, I see a Gary A being the most physical specimen to go at the rim and try to get this guy in foul trouble. That's it. That's all I see.
Yeah, no doubt. That's what I was going to say. It's got to be Quincy. And if you're Syracuse, I did have like an article up on this as well, but shameless plug.
We'll share it.
He was kind of the silver lining for Syracuse, just kind of, going in and rebounding the ball against Penn State. He was the only one that really looked physical in those games. So I think if there's a player that's going to kind of go at him, go in the middle, it's got to be Quincy. But as Jim said in the post-game presser as well, he's got to be more aggressive. You saw a couple times where he would have an aggressive drive and then he'd kind of fade away once he gets in there. And then, like another time he drove in and, he drew a charge. So he's got to kind of, be aggressive while finding that balance too, while knowing when to, kind of pull up and then not draw the charge. But I think if there's one guy that's got to kind of go at him, it's got to be Quincy, because Elijah, as we know, he likes to shot first. And then inside, Sidibe didn't really give you anything. Who's also been battling a cold. So it's got to be Quincy.
Yeah, you talked to, or you at least had the camera in the face of Sidibe after the game, and a little under the weather, and kind of blamed his footwork and stuff on that. But you don't know what these guys are going through. So with any luck, he'll be better. He'll be back to 100%. If it's just a cold, he should be close to good. So Joe, what do you got?
Yep.
Just to add a couple things outside of Garza, which obviously, his size is concerning, and especially his numbers. You can have size. Chukwu proved this. You can have size and still not do anything on the basketball court. So this guy's 6'10", 260, and he's going to push us around. But after that, they run a lot of guards. You mentioned Wieskamp. He's the next tallest starter at 6'6". So unless they play like the only other guy I saw against San Diego State, Ryan Kreiner, he's a 6'10" senior. He got 16 minutes. But again, like you said, Luka was in foul trouble. And also, I believe he actually got a busted lip and had to go get 4 stitches in the middle of that game as well. So he and that other guy still only got 16 minutes. So that's a place where, what James is talking about, I don't think they're going to come out and do anything overly crazy on defense. They're going to be able to give up some points if they try to play man. I think that Doljai or Guerriere could have some good matchups. And just overall, I don't think their guards are going to be overly athletic. So overall, just a better matchup for us than the last 2 games, in my opinion.
Well, I haven't watched Iowa play, but I wonder how many of those points from Garza are second chance points up at the rim. Tip-ins and things like that, So, I mean, that's probably
he'll get him on Tuesday.
Yeah, I know, and that's what I'm afraid of. That's what I'm afraid of. The second chance points against Penn State was what, 17-7, if I'm not mistaken. I think they beat us by 10.
Yeah,
which
it felt like way more than that.
I know, that's what I said. It did feel like way more than that. I mean, 10's not terrible, but. I mean, it's not good, but I mean, getting beat out by 10 isn't terrible. But I don't know.
And there were like a couple instances too where they gave up multiple offensive rebounds on the same possession. So maybe that's why. But it did feel more than 17.
And
God!
Yeah, they were.
Dude, sometimes it looked like that older kid in the playground that bullies the young kids and just keeps the ball up higher than everybody else. Like that's honestly what it looked like. It was ridiculous.
Oh man!
Do we have a spread out? Do we have a spread out yet? Is there?
There's no spread yet, but Ken Palm actually, believe this or not, predicts a 3-point Syracuse win over Iowa.
All right. Well,
that's just the numbers.
Okay.
Don't shoot the messenger. That's just the numbers.
Okay. Well, I mean, he's got a method to the madness, and if there's anyone I trust, we use him. Joe uses him all the time. So, I mean, he's a number cruncher. So, you know, I mean, there's something to that. But I mean, James, what do you think? Do you hold on? I'm sorry, real quick, James. Do you get to any home games?
I will get to a few this year. I'm going to do the Notre Dame game and the Duke game.
Oh, okay.
And I'm going to try to shoot up for the Niagara game, you know, just after Christmas as well.
Okay.
But we have like students on campus, so they usually do those ones. And obviously I'm down in the city, so it's not always an easy trip, but I do try to get home and do some games when I can. But yeah.
But you're usually at all the away games. It's usually where I see you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm out on the road a lot. Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, it looks fun.
So,
you're living
sounds fun.
You're living the life there, James, and we're a little jealous. So I'm just saying.
Oh well, you got to get out on the road. Come out, man. Come to game.
Oh, dude, I would love to. If we ever got out on a road game, Joe, and James happened to be there, that's beers. That's beer time. All right, James. All right, James. Back to the game. What do you think? How do you think it plays out?
All right. So the more I was looking at it today, the more I think Syracuse does have a chance in this game, and I think they're. You know, I said they're going to have a good game offensively, but they're also going to have a good game defensively. And I think they can do that just because I don't think Iowa is necessarily a team that's going to come out and be way more athletic than Syracuse, despite how, you know, young Syracuse is. You know, they kind of spread it around. They have a lot of shooters, but I think if Syracuse can spread the shooters well and, you know, obviously, you know, limit Garza inside and sort of get him in foul trouble, I think they can be okay there. But I don't think that Iowa is good enough defensively, as we've seen against, you know, the previous 3 losses that Syracuse has had. I don't think they're anywhere near as good defensively as those teams. And, you know, this might surprise some people as well, but I just tweeted out a little bit ago that the top 3 teams that Syracuse have lost to are all in the top 25 in defensive efficiency in Ken Palm. I don't think a lot of people realize how good Oklahoma State is defensively, and we saw with the Likely kid, you know, how he was able to get up in Joe shorts and kind of bother him there. But Penn State not as good defensively, but Oklahoma State definitely really good. So I think Syracuse has a shot in this one. I really do. I just don't think that, you know, Iowa necessarily has the athletes that these other teams have had, and I don't think they're as good anywhere, you know, nearly as good defensively as the others.
Well, I mean, I feel good about that. I do feel good about that. But you talk about Likely and you talk about Oklahoma. That when I watched the game against Ole Miss in Oklahoma, I really saw like we actually didn't play Oklahoma that bad. Like it wasn't, you know, comparably speaking, I thought Ole Miss was better than that. They scored 38 points against Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State, not Oklahoma. You know, I'm sorry. Right.
If the runs were limited, I mean, they just let them get out on such big runs. And 2, also, like, if Elijah didn't pick up his 3rd foul with, like, 4:48
foul trouble,
or whatever it was.
Yeah.
I think they could have kept that game a lot closer because Syracuse came back, they took the lead, and then they were playing neck and neck with them the rest of the half. And then as soon as Elijah picked up his 3rd foul, that's when they kind of, you know, created a little bit more separation. So that's a key, too. I mean, Elijah can't foul out this year because he's got to be in there, and he's got to score for this team kind of every night.
Yeah, well, we were talking about last night about how, you know, last year how Tyus Battle had to carry this team on his shoulders all the time, and it was every game it seemed like it was on Tyus, and then coming into this year we thought maybe, you know, that wouldn't be the case for Elijah because we had these other guys that could score, and Buddy was doing good, and he really improved towards the end of the year, and then we had Joe Girard that might get a slow start but would improve towards the end of the year, and we got at least 3 scorers on the court to start these games, and now we're looking at it and we're like, you know, Elijah's having to carry this team. And it's like, you know what I mean? I kind of feel bad, but you know, I guess the writing was on the wall. I don't know, but I thought Buddy would be quicker to get into the groove this year than he has. I guess is what I'm saying. So anyway,
no, when he's playing against those good defenders, I mean, some of those guys. So, but I mean, he still gets up and he makes a shot. And just another kind of sidebar, that Oklahoma State game, Chris Harris Jr. that guy that wanted to hit those 3 threes right before the end of first half.
Yeah,
he has 17 points for the whole season. I just want to give you that.
so 9 against Syracuse.
He's 4-18. He's 4-18 from 3-point land. Okay,
that's
three of them from Syracuse.
Doesn't that figure though,
There's
James?
always one.
It always happens.
Yeah,
always.
Oh.
All right. Well, who's ready to play buy, sell, or hold? Are we ready? Let's do this. Let's do it. All right. Look, the rules for buy, sell, or hold. No, James. That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Wait, you're having James Szuba on? That guy sell.
Oh my gosh, dude, you guys on social media.
Bye, man. I love his articles. Bye.
You guys in social media crack me up, man. It is a struggle. You guys make this so hard on us. It's not even funny. We're just looking for 3 questions. 3 questions. It's not that difficult.
I would love it. I would love it if they were just all trolling you. That'd be great.
If they're trolling me, they're doing a fantastic job. They really are, because I'm steaming over here. So look, here are the rules for buy, sell, or hold. There's 3 questions. You're only permitted 1 hold per segment. So this will be 1 segment, these 3 questions. All right. And as always, our guest at James Szuba, he will start. Okay. The only one who played the game like perfectly correctly is at the Real Torian. Okay. And
shout out to that guy, man.
Yes, definitely. He says, this is a better team with Jalen Carey being in Boeheim's 7 or 8 man rotation. Buy, sell, or hold, James.
Torian, my man, for being the first one, as far as I've seen, I don't know what you guys have seen, but being the first one that I've seen to actually play buy, sell, or hold correctly, I'm going to come in with a buy. I think this team is definitely better with Jalen in the fold, and I definitely think that he could have helped this team out in New York City. I was talking with, my colleague at Noon, Bobby Manning. We were talking about Jalen a little bit, and I don't think that it would have necessarily made a difference in the game, but I at least think Jalen would have been able to come in and get by his guy. I think Joe, he actually, from an assist perspective, he played okay. He just didn't make shots. But I think Jalen would have at least been able to get by his guy, been one of the guys to actually dribble, penetrate, and create a little bit. So I definitely think that this team would be better with him. And, the 3rd and 4th guard in rotation, nobody's really stepped up in that spot. So I definitely think even if he's coming off the bench as the 3rd guard, I think this team is better with Jalen.
Yeah. Joe.
Yes. I am going to have to.
Yes is not an answer. Go.
Oh, sorry. I'm going to have to go with buy as well, only because I can see – sorry, man. Sorry. It's only because, we talked about it yesterday, the athleticism. There's going to be certain times where we're going to need that guy in there that can go by his guy. Or, there's sometimes where you saw them struggle to get the ball up the court. What's going to happen when Joe and Buddy got to come together and bring the ball up the court on maybe a man-to-man tight defense? There's those struggles, and I think that Goodine has not proven that he can be trusted with handling the ball up to this point. So I just say as bad as – I don't want to say as bad, but obviously Joe was playing a little bit better in the first couple games in Jalen. But, I think that situationally having him available would have definitely helped.
Well, I hate having to do this, but I've got to buy too. I've got to buy this because – we lack the experience there, not for anything. You talk about just the tournament alone. That's hometown for Jalen. He could have helped. I don't know if it would have made a huge difference in the games, but Joe's struggling as well as a lot of freshmen do at this level, especially when they start getting into this type of competition. But I got to buy just because just the trust factor, man. Coming off the bench too, I still think Joe should start. Okay, if he comes in as a 3rd guy, one of you two said that. I think that would definitely help, especially when things got a little out of control and we weren't being able to hit shots from the outside. He's that guy that can do that. Sometimes he could be frustrating to watch, but at the end of the day, I think having him there could definitely be a positive. I don't see how it's a negative with him being on the bench with his arm in a cast. I don't see that being a positive. It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
So,
and he'd be better in the press too, I think.
That's
Yes.
Brilliant point. Yes,
because we talked about that with Buddy.
Yeah, we did.
Press.
We did.
That's tough.
Nothing against Buddy, but we're lacking some lateral movement in things of that nature. And Jalen, definitely. Good point.
Well, I mean, let's just be honest. He's what, 6'6", 6'5", 6'6".
Yeah, he's a little long. Yeah.
Trying to full court D up a 2 guard on a really good, on other good teams is not going to be his specialty. It's and just to give another heads up little into that. I know that we were worried about Jalen Carey kind of what his body language is going to be, and there was the grumblings of if he was going to transfer and what was going to happen. When they started Joe Girard.
Yes. Let's talk about this.
His whole attitude as a teammate and everything on the bench. This whole tournament, it made it.
He's a fan.
Positive.
Yeah.
He's a fan. He's into it, and it made it a little bit better for me. I don't see that. I think those grumblings are going away now. So.
I really hope so, James. And what do you think about that? Just to take a side path here for a second, there was definitely some positive body language from Jalen on the bench. He's not sour about anything. He's not mean mugging. He's definitely into the game. He's cheering his teammates on. And it's just good to see because, a day after he's going, it's announced that he's getting surgery. They're talking about entering the player portal and the transfer portal and all this stuff. So, I mean, how do you see that?
Yeah, I mean, he's had a little bit of time, right? I mean, imagine if you're in his shoes and you're the starting point guard and then you lose your job, right? And then not only after that, but then your boss, your head coach, just rips you in the post-game presser. And expresses like no confidence in you. Like, how else are you going to feel? You know what I mean? And
awful.
Not that you shouldn't be standing up, clapping, and cheering on your teammates, but we'd all probably be a little bit pissed about that. We'd be like, what the hell, But no, I think he's had a little bit of time, a little bit of time to think and get over it and process things, and now the situation. You're going to be out. There's nothing you can do about it as you heal. So yeah, you're cheering and you're rooting on your teammates now. So yeah, I think he's made a little progress in that regard, and as he should.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, here we go. This one is inspired, and when I say it's inspired, that means I had to reword it because it wasn't correct. But this one was inspired by MF Brightside and another guy, Alex from Facebook. They both had the same idea, but they just couldn't get it out. But so here it is. The Orange will finish under 500 in the ACC. James. Sell.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm selling that. Reason being, and granted this team is a little bit different and it's a lot younger, but Jim Boeheim has only gone under 500 once since joining the ACC, and I do think these teams are more representative of teams of recent vintage. But I do think that this team will find a way to finish either 500 or above 500 and be around that 20 win mark. So I'm going to sell there, just based on history.
Okay, fair enough, Joe.
Hey, I do like the confidence. I mean, unless you're just basing it on history, because I'm going to have to hold that one. It's,
jeez,
I'm sorry, man. Why am I taking all your answers?
You have so far. Yeah, that's why I should probably go second sometimes. Go ahead.
Well, I'm sorry. I haven't seen any legitimate tournament team type. Penn State, Oklahoma State, Virginia. I think they all got decent shots at making this tournament this year and at the end of the year. And out of those 3 games, like I told you the stats, they've been shooting 23-24% for them from the 3, 30% from just the regular field. And again, I do understand what James is talking about, how they all are pretty good defensive teams. But until I see it, until my eyes see it, I'm going to have to hold.
All right. Well, that's fine.
Fair. Definitely fair.
I am going to sell. I'm going to sell. And here's why. I'm an optimist. Anyway, I was going to hold, but I'm not going to hold now. I'm going to sell, and here's why. So we play Virginia Tech twice. I think we play Notre Dame twice. So we don't play Duke twice. We don't play UNC twice. I think we play Boston College twice. I'm just trying to shuffle through this.
I think, don't we always play Boston College and Pittsburgh
Louisville once.
Louisville once. Yeah. So, and that's why. Okay, I'm just going to, because look, our ACC schedule is pretty mediocre compared to the last couple. We do play Virginia twice, but our ACC schedule is not awful. It's not awful. We play Georgia Tech twice. I think. Yes. So, I just based on that alone, I think at some point, especially coming into ACC play, you got Iowa, you got Georgia Tech. Okay, now I haven't done a ton of research on that, but we'll see what happens there. But then you got Georgetown, which is tough. That one's tough.
And they just lost to UNC Greensboro.
I know that, but I've watched them enough this year to know that that's not going to be an easy game. And plus, they've just been getting better and better. And so, just looking at the schedule based on that alone, I'm going to sell on that. I think we finish above 500 because I think they're going to get better, and I think that our ACC schedule is not awful. I don't think it's awful. It could be a lot worse. Could be playing UNC and Duke twice, or one of them twice, for crying out loud, right? So, anyway.
Not North Carolina. There's no way Syracuse beats North Carolina. No, I'll say that. They're too good of a rebounding team, and Syracuse is too bad of a rebounding team right now for that.
Have we beaten North Carolina since we've been in the ACC? No.
The first year.
Oh, the first year. That's right. That's right. One time.
I think they've won like 8 or 9 straight.
It's been brutal. It's been brutal. So, awful. So, all right, at Laugh Lap, we are ranked 235th in total rebounding. This is a direct effect of the 2-3 zone. I'm going to give it to James.
Oh man, I'm like somewhere between a hold and a sell. I'm going to go with a hold, and I think that that is definitely part of it. The zone is definitely part of it. But how many times did we see this past week of guys just being bigger, stronger, and more want to than Syracuse? And effort. That is. Yeah, I mean it is part of the zone, but I even asked some of the players about that in the locker room, and they're like, yeah, well, it's partially zone, but we got to play better. And Barama would be the first to admit that. He said, I got to play better. I didn't do my job. So, I would go with a hold on that, and I would just say I think it's a little bit of a combination of aggressiveness and the 2-3, a lack of aggressiveness in the 2-3 zone.
All right, I am going to go next, Joe, because you keep.
Go ahead, buddy. I don't want to steal you.
I think I know where you're going to go with this, but I'm going to look. This is a very specific question, and it says this is a direct effect of the 2-3 zone. Look, I don't know if it's a direct effect of the 2-3 zone, but the 2-3 zone historically is awful at rebounding, and we've heard Coach. There was a point last year we said in a press conference that the zone doesn't box out. We play an area, so obviously. Whether or not you want to argue that point or not, you can, but he's not teaching them how to box out. They're not doing it. They're playing their area. And they're playing their area. And, I say, why not box out? You can play an area and box out at the same time, can't you? I mean, last I checked. But, I'm still going to buy because I think that, by the way, I didn't use a hold. I'm just going to say that. But, I'm going to buy because I'm just fed. I'm a little bit of it is that I'm fed up with the zone. I want to see something different. I feel like we get shot on big time with the zone, and people get hot. They get streaky with the zone, and also the rebounding has been so bad for the past few years that whether or not it's a direct effect or not, it doesn't matter to me. I think it's a big enough deal to where I'll buy. Joe.
Oh, all right. Well. I'm not going to do that. You know that. I was actually closer on the same side as James as far as going. It could have been a hold or a sell. If you were just talking based upon maybe this year in the group, I can see where it could be closer to a hold. But we've seen 2-3 zone teams in the past that haven't had any problems rebounding. And when he talks about rebounding in a zone, they play their zone. And if there's a man on the other team in your zone that's there to get a rebound, then you are supposed to box out. It's not like just because you play a zone, you're not supposed to box out. It's just you don't always have a man to box out. So that's why sometimes you don't see people with bodies on bodies every single time.
They don't ever box out.
But at the end of the day, if you don't know how to box out in zone, you don't know how to box out in man. It doesn't really. If you're getting out hustled and you're getting out rebounded because someone else is bigger, faster, stronger, they're going to do the same thing in man to man. So that's why I say sell. It doesn't matter. Everyone needs something to blame. Everyone wants something to blame. It always comes back to the 2-3 zone every single time. But like I told you, 2-3 zone at the end of the year at NCAA tournaments when we're playing against teams that aren't used to seeing it. And when our team is peaking at the right time, that's where we hit our runs. That's where some good NCAA runs have happened. And again, this is just another case of people just wanting to blame the 2-3 zone. So,
and you backhanded me. Why did you do that, James?
I was passing it off to you.
James couldn't see that, but he definitely backhanded me.
I heard it. I heard it.
I have been a huge,
I'm sorry. I just don't like people.
I get it, Joe. Joe, I get it. But here's the thing. And James, you can feel free to disagree with me. And I'm not like some like huge analytical freaking break it down type of guy. But when your defense in the past few years, you're recruiting these guys to play for this defense. When this defense isn't necessarily always doing its thing, there should be some way around that to where you could, adjust your defense to the players you have if they're not getting it. And I realize that, coach is talking about, well, they're not getting it. Well, it might take 15 to 20 games. Well, 15 to 20 games, that's half the season or more. So
yeah, it's going to be too late by then.
Yeah, so why? There's got to be something else we can do. We don't have to abandon the 2-3 zone. I love the zone. I've been a zone apologist my whole life up until this year. I've had enough, and I'm not saying abandon it. I'm not saying abandon it. I'm saying that maybe, just maybe, we can play some kind of man 2-3 zone combo. And I know he changes his zone maybe once a game. But we've got to be able to adjust a little bit better, especially after halftime.
Yeah, I think if you look just at the Penn State game specifically, and I agree with this, I think it's great. I think it's genius. I think when you recruit to it and you have the athletes, it's great. Opposing teams, they have to spend all their time going over their zone sets as opposed to their man-to-man sets when you play Syracuse. Yeah. And in a tournament setting, obviously, as everybody knows, everybody always says you can't simulate the length. And you only get, 24, 48 hours to prep for it. So there's all those things. And, everybody who pays attention to Syracuse, they all know that. But I think if you just look at the Penn State game, right, like obviously you're not rebounding the ball. If you're Jim Boeheim, there's not much you could do. You can't put, you could put Marek at center. Fine. You could put Jesse Edwards at center. Fine. You could try to put Robert Braswell in there. But none of those guys are going to be great rebounders. Quincy's the only guy that really looks capable of going in there and being physical and grabbing a rebound with some of these bigger guys. So if you just look at that game specifically and you're getting killed on the boards and you know that there's nothing else that you could do in the zone, yeah, play man. Why not play man? Why not just give it a look? Because you already know what you're getting with the zone. You're going to get pounded on the glass. And even if you're forcing them to miss a shot, they're just going right in and they're grabbing a board.
Yeah.
So I think, from that perspective, just from that game, play man. You don't have to abandon the zone entirely, but why not just give it a look?
That's kind of what broke me. Was that game? It broke me. And I've, like I said, I've stuck up for the zone. I love Coach. People are calling for his head already, and we know how that goes. But
every loss.
Right.
Every loss that happens.
Right. His press conferences, look, just for the press conferences alone,
they're great.
Gotta have them. Like, I don't understand. Like, this guy is entertaining, whether or not he's miserable as hell or not. And, he gives reporters hell, and also he gives his players hell during the press conferences, and he uses that as a motivator. So, with that said, everybody questions certain things, and I'm just questioning the zone at this point. It's been a long time since I even brought it up. So it's not. I kind of jumped ship during the Penn State game, like you said. Like, why not try something different? You're getting killed. You're not going to win the game. Why not try to make it look like respectable? It's getting out of control. That's all.
Yeah.
So, Anyway,
you tried it with the press and tried to switch it up, but like, why not go into a press and come back in man or pick up full court man? I think, you pick up full court press, and then if you don't get anything, you're right back into the zone and you're right back into the same problem you had before. So
absolutely. James, listen, thanks. I love having you on. I love having you on. We could make we could make this a freaking 2-hour show. I look forward to getting you back. So, again, thank you. If you guys want to check out anything from James, go to NunesMagician.com, and you'll see his name there. Szuba with an S. Isn't that funny? Szuba with an S. So, James, thanks for coming on. We appreciate it. Hope to have you back soon.
Sean, Joe, always my pleasure. Appreciate it. And we got to have you guys on the News Pod as well sometime soon. We got to do like a crossover edition or something.
Oh,
so.
I would love that. I would love that. Awesome. All right, buddy. All right, always great having James on from NunesMagician.com. Yes. I try to retweet some of his stuff. He's got great articles after games and stuff like that. So check out his article on Quincy. I'll put that up on the socials. So, Joe, any final thoughts?
Yes.
Any final thoughts on Iowa, anything? Iowa, buy, sell, or hold items, anything? Anything?
Well, I think, we got to think about a different way to kind of, maybe we got to sit down and write down maybe instructions or figure out a different way to post how this is supposed to go. Maybe an example. I don't know.
I thought about doing an example, and then I'm like, well, I don't want to insult people. Like,
well,
here's
it's not
your
insulting
example.
people; it's educating. And if they're insulted, that's their own problem. I don't.
Actually, at the Real Torian, he did do a great job, and
yes, he did.
I did retweet that with here is a tutorial from at the Real Torian on how to submit your questions for buy, sell, or hold. So people saw it, but will people pay attention?
Or maybe we can get a video. Maybe there's a video out there of like examples of buy, sell, or hold questions that maybe from other shows that maybe we could just use as I mean, I don't know. I don't know. But either way, we can try to figure it out. But also another thing that would make that interesting too.
Maybe
segment.
If you listen to the show, then you get it, right?
You would assume. That's pretty presumptuous of you, Sean. I don't know.
Are you using big words? Are you using big words?
I'm just saying. I just learned them. So.
What were you gonna say? You got more jokes. Go. Come on.
No, I was just saying that it's not my more jokes. It's just James is pretty good at that. You didn't even use a hold, so maybe.
I didn't use a hold. That's pretty good, right?
That's what I'm saying. So I would like to make this more challenging and up it to 4, but God forbid we ask the fans for 4 questions.
I'm struggling getting 3.
The last 1.
No, we had
to say inspired by. I mean, you edited.
I did. I said inspired by. That's right. But I did have to change the stats on one of them. But if I can take something, if I could take something and
Alex,
make it into
Alex
one,
he was close.
He was close. But we got to be a little bit more specific. Unless we just edit it like you said we do, and we turn it into like the question based upon their thought, and, like you said, inspired by. So if we read them, don't get upset if they're not verbatim. Right, but I would love them verbatim. Like Torian, at the Real Torians was verbatim, but at Laugh Lap was not verbatim because I had to change his stat because his ranking that he put in originally was wrong. I had to look it up. I had to what do you call it? Fact check it.
Fact check, yeah.
That's what I did. That's
a smart thing to do. Not everybody does that, Sean. Kudos to you.
I know. Thank you. So you know who to trust.
There's big media corporations.
And I'm not claiming that I always
kudos
have.
To you.
And I'm not claiming that I have, all the facts all the time. But I try. And that's all we can do. So, look. Hey, I want to thank James Szuba. At James Szuba, JamesSzuba from NunesMagician.com for coming on. And he's a blast. I could have talked to him for 2 hours about Syracuse basketball. And maybe we will sometime. But today's not that time. I also want to thank Blue Chew. I also want to thank my bookie.
Me.
And
Heather for the beer.
No. Heather for the beer, for putting Joe in a good mood. Heather, thank you. Heather's first legit thank you shout out on the podcast. I really appreciate you. Joe might not, but I definitely do.
I definitely do. She knows that.
You put a smile on Joe's face, and it made this so much more worth it because it was looking grim before the show started. So, thanks to James on guitar. For Joe, I'm Sean. We're out.
Thanks for listening to the Cuse Militia Podcast, the fan's voice with Sean and Joe.